the Oakland versus Diamondbacks series, in which the Diamondbacks actually won a series for once, I believe. This is the I'm on screen on YouTube, but the this is the first series that they've won since the Cardinals series. Is what 3 series in a row that they had lost, or I don't even know. I had lost count, like with how bad that they were playing. It just seemed like they were losing series after series after 3 series. I guess the Astros, and then the what was it
Tigers.
Tiger? Oh, the Tiger. That's what I was forgetting. Tigers, Pirates, and the Astros. Yeah,
Pirates. I'm trying to forget about that Pirate series because the players forgot about the Pirate series.
Just incredibly forgetful a few days. But before we get into all this talk of the disasters and then not disasters of this Diamondback series, we just want to welcome everyone in here to the YouTube chat. This is your first time joining us. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you are watching or listening to us later on either on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whichever platform you get your podcast from, be sure to give us a like and subscribe on there as well. Make sure to check us out on Twitter, on Discord, TikTok, and Instagram. We are everywhere at Dbacks Dispatch. We have written articles as well on AZ Snake Pit. Make sure if you have any suggestions or even questions for us, be sure to leave them in the chat. Before I break down the series in general, I just want to give you quick thoughts, Brandon, what you felt about this series. Did this give you any sort of new life, new resurgence in this team? Like, how'd you feel about it? Did you? I mean, I have my thoughts on this, but I want to hear yours first.
My feelings are a lot different today than they were on Friday. If you would have asked me on Friday, I'm like, this is going to be a unbearable 2 months. I'm glad that they kind of bounced back Saturday and Sunday. Like you said in our group chat, the game on Saturday was their first complete game in a while. Like, I know you said a month. That feels right, which is absolutely ridiculous to say, but like that's just how it's been lately. Like, there's always something that goes wrong, but overall, I thought this was a decent series. Yes, it's the A's. Take that with a grain of salt. Like, they are probably worse off than we are, but the way this team had been playing, like we really thought, and then we lost on Friday. I'm like, are we gonna lose this series? Like, is this 100 loss season coming? Like, that's what I thought on Friday. That is legit what I thought on Friday. It's like, this could be 100 loss team. But what we saw the last 2 games, I still think they're gonna end up under 500 at season's end. But I don't think it's gonna be like 100 loss season. I still think the threshold there is 75, 76 wins, which kind of sucks because that's going to end up being like 12, 13 games under 500, which that's not what the expectations were this season. So it was a good series for the most part. Jeff asking a great question. I missed the series. How did Tyler Locklear look? We will be getting into that. That is one of our topics today.
Yeah, and I agree with you. With the way that the first game went, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, is this the way that all these other games are going to go? Because I mean, I know they had lost 6 in a row, but even before that, there was the Astros series before that too, where they just played so miserably. So it wasn't so much that it was 6 games in a row. It was 9 out of the last 10 games where it felt like this team is just not going to put up runs, and this team just doesn't care. Like, they look so anemic, and it really felt like that was going to be it. Like, that's just what we're going to see for the rest of the season. Just the offense just not caring at all, kind of swinging at whatever they can get. Like, it just looked absolutely terrible for the most part for that first game. And I really did think the same thing as you, where I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, is this going to turn into a 100 loss season at the end of out of nowhere? When you're talking about the A's, like saying that the A's are worse than the Diamondbacks, if the D-backs lost this series or got swept in the series, they would have the same amount of loss. The A's would have had the same amount of wins, as the Diamondbacks won. They would have both been at 51 wins for the season. So the A's are a little bit worse in the loss column just because they played a few more games. But you're talking about a season now where the Diamondbacks could have been about the same record as the Oakland Athletics, and they're also behind the Marlins. The Marlins are a 500 team.
You know what the Marlins just did? They just swept the Yankees. So watch out. Like they're at 500 right now. Like yeah, they're really far behind for a wild card, but I'm just saying like
I mean, you honestly you can't count people out. I mean, that's kind of the only issue that's one of the biggest issues that I had with all this trades that happens. Like I felt like this team for the most part couldn't be counted out even at the end. I mean, they were about 500 when they started making all these moves. So once those moves were made, you're like, yeah, well, I mean, this team is punting for next season, trying to save a little bit of cash for the rest of the series. But I just want to break down now the some of these games. There wasn't as much to talk about, I think, individually in these games as there
no.
are in some other series that we've had. But we actually got our first look at Anthony Discofani now, Tony Disco. He, at least for this game, took Merrill Kelly's spot. As of right now, doesn't seem like he's gonna keep that spot specifically. He's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna be a starter for the rest of the series. We do still have Bryce Jarvis down in the minor leagues, and he seems to be pitching really well in the minor leagues as well. So we'll see if Tony Disco gets the next start, or this team decides to go with Bryce and then move Tony Disco to the bullpen, where he had been excelling, but unfortunately in this game he went 2 1/3 to give up 5 hits and 4 earned runs and 3 walks, and I think that's mostly what killed him. It was just the walks. He was really struggling just to um, keep it around the zone, and so they made him pay for it. And honestly, it wasn't even that much. I mean, they scored 4 runs on him, and that was kind of it. In the first couple of innings, that was kind of the only offense in total this whole game. The offense again looked completely anemic, other than I believe it was a fly out, right, or a fly out. It was I think
Sack
Corbin
fly.
sack fly. But that was about it. Then Kyle Nelson made his D-backs return, first time out since over a year ago. His last game was on April 22nd of 2024, and he looked pretty damn good for the most part. In Game Two, this was actually their win. They finally snapped their 6 game losing streak by winning by a total of 7-2. Gallen actually had a quality start in this game. He, for the most part, struggled. I don't think he looked as sharp as he normally, and when he's good. When he's really good, he normally looks a little bit more sharp. He's just, dotting the corners, making guys look silly. In this game, he did have to work for it. He had 6 innings, but he gave up 9 hits, only 2 earned runs, and only 3 strikeouts. But again, the A's have a really, really good lineup. From guys 1 through 5, just incredible. They're so dangerous right now as an offense. And Marte debuted his new hair instead of having the dreads that he had. He went back to that 2017, 2018 look that he had. And he weirdly does look a lot
He
younger.
looked like he
He
was how he
looks
looked in
so
20.
young.
He I was like, wait a second, is this the same Cattell? So when I realized, I was like, wow, looks like he's like his mid-20s.
Yeah, I don't think it would make that much difference. But yeah, he kind of just like shaved the sides and everything, just went back to that old look. I'm like, oh, he looks so much younger again. Like it's weird how much younger he looks suddenly. And then Alec Thomas hit a home run in this game. He actually matches the season total of our primary DH, Pavin Smith. So they are both at, I believe, 7 home runs for the season. And Thomas is going to be one of the main topics of our discussion. And then Game 3, the second win of the series, and the win that actually got them the win in total of this series. But Andrew Saalfrank came in, and he actually gave up his first earned run since his suspension. He had gone 8 2/3 of scoreless innings, or scoreless outings, sorry. And Tyler Locklear, our primary first baseman as of right now, got his first hit. And in this game, he ended up going 2 for 4, I believe, and he actually now has two hits on the series. Out of He's batting 200, 2 for his last 10. Sorry, they are for this series and for the season so far. He has 2 walks, and for the most part, I think those first couple of games, I felt like he was pressing, but we'll get into it as well. D-backs went 5 for 10 with runners in scoring position in this game. Blaze hit his first home run, which is an absolute moonshot. And as well, Alec Thomas continues his run of dominance in these last few games. In the last 15 games, he's batting 340 with a 380 on base and 532 slugging for 912 PS. He has 16 hits, 2 home runs, and 3 doubles. So, with all that being said, just before we enter our main topic, I just want to welcome in everyone here into the chat. Disruptive, Shrimpy, Bubba, Charles, Jeff, Red Sox Nation, Sean. He's showing a little bit, but
Brett's in there.
Sean, Corbin, Corbin Barrels, Justin, Brett. Yeah, want to thank everybody for coming in here. So to bring, oh, Josh, I see Josh. Yeah, so to bring back what Jeff asked, how did Tyler Locklear look? So for you, Brandon, what were your first initial thoughts on him? Because for the most part, we there's only so many clips that we have online of him because again, when you're playing in minor leagues, you only get so much video of these guys. What were your first impressions of just seeing him, his body type, and the defense he played at first, and even his swings?
So first thing, his first at bat on Friday, he got screwed on a strike three call that was not even close. And I'm like, oh boy, that's just great. Like it just kind of sucks for him. And like you said, the first two games he was trying too hard. He was definitely trying to replace Naylor and Gino, and I'm like, you can't do that. You just can't. But I thought he was putting together good at bats, though. Like it may not have been the results that we wanted. Played decent defense. There was one play at first where he kind of dropped the ball. Like it wasn't an easy catch to make from third from Blaze, but it was definitely a play that a professional first baseman should be making. So that was a little bit of, but overall, I thought he played really, really well. Like I know, I know everyone's like, and people need to stop doing this. Not everyone's gonna start on fire like Corbin Carroll did when he came up, and we need to temper our expectations with a lot of these prospects. It's gonna take them a while. It's gonna take them playing consistently, not this like. Luckily for Locklear, he's playing first base every day. He might get a day off every now and then, just because he's just gonna need the time off. But I think he's someone that we can pencil in the lineup every day, like Marte, Perdomo, and Carroll. Like those are the ones you know are going to be there every day. I thought he looked a lot better today, so I think he's starting to settle in a little bit. Had some really good hits today. Like you said, he's 2 for 10 on the year, but he's gotten 2 walks, so that's always something that you want to be able to see. Seeing a lot of comparisons to at first base to a player that we all love, and I'm just saying, don't do that to him yet. Don't do that to him yet, because if you make those comparisons, you all are going to be mad when he doesn't perform the way that Goldie did. Is all I'm saying. Is I don't think we should start any comparisons until he has 150 at bats, which is probably what he's going to have by the end of the season. So, yeah, he looked a little rough, but he hadn't really played at the professional level like in a while. So he's just like he's gonna have to get into the groove. Like a lot of prospects, can't hit the curveball, cannot hit the curveball, which that's a lot of prospects. And how do you hit the curveball? You got to see it at the major league level. Breaking balls in the minors are nowhere near to the level they are at the major league level. So I'm not really worried that that's kind of a thing that he can't hit. He just needs to be able to see it for me. Also, I love how he loves to steal. He should have had 2 stolen bases. He just, that second one today, he just slid off the base. So he just was running a little bit too fast there. But I thought overall, like if I had to give it a grade, I'd probably give it a B for how he looked in this series. Like good start, definitely things to work on.
Yeah, I think I would tend to agree with you with that grading. It's about a B because he did a lot very well. I think for the most part, the defense he made that catch yesterday, just a sliding grab, which looked amazing. Even today, there's a foul ball that he was able to reach. I mean, that thing was like 7 or 8 feet into foul territory, and it was hit hard, and he even got to that one. So if there's another ball that's hit to him in that area that stays fair, I would feel really confident in him actually making that snag. So I thought at least defensively he looked very very good. There was one that got through him that again I felt like with a little bit more time in the majors I think he can easily get to that one. And same with one of the Blazes throws. Yeah, again I feel like a ready major leaguer makes that 9 out of 10 times. In this case, he just wasn't able to snag it. I mean, again, it wasn't the best throw in the world, but it was something that we've seen. Even like some of the worst first baseman make. So
Naylor, I
Naylor,
think
Naylor's
Naylor
able to
makes
make
that
those.
play.
So overall, I do think he has some to improve on defensively, but for the most part, I thought he looked really good. One of the things that I noticed is just how big he is, not just wide shoulders, but just very tall. And I know Walker technically is 6 feet. I feel like he's a little bit shorter. I think he's probably closer to 5'11", because whenever I've seen him in person, he's tall, but he's not like if you look at someone like Paul Goldschmidt, who's 6'4", there's a huge difference between 6'4" Paul Goldschmidt and 6 foot Christian Walker. You can tell right away that there's no way he's actually 6 foot. And Tyler is 6'2", and you can tell like when the way he was going up to grab the balls, the way he was playing, when he steps into the plate, he looks a lot taller, and I think that's a good thing for the most part. Josh Naylor, I believe, is around 6 feet, but there were a few balls, especially from Gino, that he would throw that would just be way too high up for poor Josh Naylor to get to them. So overall, I do think he does look, more professional than I was kind of expecting him to. And I know there's, like you mentioned, the comparison to Paul Goldschmidt. I do think if fans start to compare him to Paul Goldschmidt, like you said, I think they're going to be severely disappointed. Like, let him be who he's going to be. He is Tyler Locklear. He is not Paul Goldschmidt. I
Yeah,
know he
let him be
wears,
Tyler Locklear,
and I know
not
he's
Paul Goldschmidt
wearing,
2.0.
I know he's wearing Gino's number, but again, no comparison. Just let him be who he is. Let him be Tyler Locklear at least for a while, and then maybe a couple years we can start to compare him to Paul Goldschmidt if that's warranted or not. But just let these guys be who they are. Let them develop into who they're going to be later on. And I think a key is giving him at bats because right now he's taking into in stride again. We mentioned that he was struggling in those first couple of games, but again, first couple of games again in the major leagues after last season. So, the movement and the speed of those pitches is a lot different compared to AAA. Um, the main thing is just giving him the at bats. So we saw what happened with guys like Lawler, or even with Blaze. Like when you bring up guys from AAA and you bench him, you sit him for days on end. They don't get to swing the ball very much. It's just going to affect their development. They're not going to be able to hit. So right now, Locklear, I think for the most part, has to be there every day, first baseman until I don't want to say it, but until Pavin comes back. But even then, I don't want them to do the the platoons with him because doesn't seem who's he should be. He's not a platoon guy. Pavin, he's I believe next season is Pavin's last season with the Diamondbacks, and Locklear has to be the first baseman of the future. So why not just let him get these last 150 at bats or so that are left in this season for a first baseman like him, instead of having to split time with Pavin? Because even look at Alec Thomas. Alec Thomas finally is getting stable playing time, damn near almost every day, and look what he's doing with it. Like there's so many times throughout the season where he was playing maybe 3 out of the 6 games, 3 out of 7 games. Now that he's playing a lot more consistently, we've seen what happens with these guys. Like there's a handful of guys who can come off the bench and slug, and some of the younger guys, that's just not who they are, and that's not who they're ever going to be. uh,
Yeah, I think Blaze is the same way. Like he needs to be able to play consistently at third, and that's what he's going to right now. Blaze is going to be our starting third baseman. Um, And I wouldn't be surprised if once Lawler is healthy and they bring him up, they platoon them at third.
Yeah.
Have
Charles.
Blaze hit lefties.
Yeah, Charles here is saying that it took him to a third game of the series overall. That his at bats were good. Got robbed of some walks due to bad strike calls. The umpiring was terrible. I mean, I know we should never excuse or make that excuse with the umpires, but yeah, he should have gotten two walks. Like it clearly shows his eye for the zone has gotten so much better at the beginning of the season. He was striking out a lot. He didn't really seem to have the at least swing. Like that's why I compared him to Pavin, just with more power, just because his recognition for the zone is very, very good. But he also strikes out a ton the way Pavin does. So he was more of a three true outcome player than Pavin was, just because he can hit, well, for power over Pavin. But just that sort of swing and miss that he has, we saw it here. He struck out a few times. And then just that recognition for the zone. Again, he should have had four walks instead of two. And he took I can't even say they're borderline. They're about 2 inches out of the zone, but again, it shows his eye for the zone. So I do think he's going to look a lot better as the season goes on. At least that's what I'm hoping for. We're able to get a guy who hits 250 with around 800 OPS. I do think we can feel a lot better going into next season about our first base situation, because when we lost Naylor, then it really felt like that we're going to have the same issue again when they lost Walker. So I I feel like there's a lot that we can look forward to, at least with Locklear, Locklear. Um, but I don't know. I thought I was pretty excited to watch him, and hopefully, he gives us a good show starting tomorrow, and fans can finally see him in person, and maybe he can become a fan favorite. Like you never know with these guys what they can turn into, and hoping that these lottery tickets work out the way they're supposed to. But into our next topic is someone that some of the comments are bringing up as well, Alec Thomas. Alec Thomas, for the most part, has now gotten most, if not the majority, of at bats and games at center field compared to earlier on the season when they were platooning him with Jake McCarthy or Randall Grichuk or whatever. But for the most part, Alec Thomas has been playing very steady in the last couple of weeks, and he's showing why he was such a highly touted prospect, why this team refused to give him up when they were calling for him over and over again. And we saw it in this series. In this series, he went 7 for 11 with the home run and a few RBI. 7 for 11. I mean, he was just crushing the ball in this series. It seemed like every time that he went up to bat, he was going to get a hit, and he made the Athletics pay for him over and over and over again. Especially, I think having him at the lower part of the the lineup, it could have that Perdomo effect where he's on base for all of them, especially with his speed. He gets on base. It seemed like every time he got on base, whether it was Corbin or Cattell, whoever, they were scoring him in. But what did you think, Brandon, about Alec in this series, and then Alec as a whole in his season so far?
I mean, he was a big portion of our offense in general in this series. Like you said, 7 for 11. He had 10 total bases in the 3 games with the with that home run. Um, like I know that his splits against left-handed pitching is just so bad. Like that's why they platoon him. But I think at this point, Jake isn't hitting well at all. There's no reason why you can't especially if Alec is playing this well. If Alec starts to struggle a little bit, then yeah, okay, don't play him against left-handed pitching. But the way that he's really played, really the last week, like he was the only bright spot in one of the games against the Tigers. Um, like no one else did anything. Like there was the one game where I was like, oh great, we're getting a shutout. Nope, Alec hits that home run late in the game. So, um, and I would say his defense this year is a little bit lower than kind of what we've been accustomed to. Like he was almost not even an average defensive center fielder for a good portion of the year. But I think he's improved a lot the last 2 months defensively. Still, he still doesn't have the best arm in center. I wish his arm was just a little bit stronger. It's still a very noodle type arm, but I think I'm really hoping that he can take what he's done in this series and kind of keep doing it for the next couple of weeks. And I think you're right. He's going to be the guy that starts up at the bottom of the lineup because of losing Gino and Naylor. Perdomo has to be in the top three. So whether they hit him second or they put Marte third, like Perdomo needs to be in that top three of the lineup. The dude has 75 runs driven in. That's insane. I never thought he would ever get close to that. Like I know that we have this thing like he's our runner and scoring position king, but like I never thought that would result in 75 runs driven in through like 110 plus games. Like that's really impressive for Perdomo. So, um, and like I love watching Alec when he hits a no doubter. It like his bat drop is just so awesome. He just like he knows when he gets to it, and that power. That's why this team is so high on him because of that power. It's something that Jake just doesn't really have. Jake doesn't have that power, and we've said it for so long. If Alec can lift the ball in the air, he's a really good hitter. It's just there's a lot of times with his rollovers to second base. Like that's been his thing for so long. So it's really great to see him kind of get some power here the last week. Um, it's just it boggles my mind that he literally has the same home runs and runs driven in as Pavin Smith.
Yeah, I think that was a mistake. He has one less home run, but yeah, he has now more RBI than Pavin. So
But
one
yeah,
less home run, but one more RBI.
like it's just like if you're the DH, and I get into this argument with people all the time, like, oh, well, that's not what a DH does nowadays in today's game. Yes, it is. I'm sorry. You look at any other successful team, their DH is their run producer. So
Yeah,
like everyone loves to bring up, oh, but Pavin's on base percent. I don't care. It doesn't result in runs a lot when he gets on base.
yeah. Like I know this isn't going to be a Pavin Smith bashing podcast because it kind of doesn't matter. So for now, um, we don't exactly know when Pavin's going to be coming back. It was supposedly he was taking dry swings and hitting off a tee as of recently, but yeah, Alec, this recent showing of power, the fact that he was able to hit it on different sides of the field. Like he didn't just pull balls; he was hitting them towards the middle, towards to the left side. He was hitting them on the ground hard, and it's not rolling over the way we've seen him. I mean, he was hitting on the ground really hard and through defenders. He was hitting it right over the defenders' heads as well. So he's really, really coming. His bat is really coming around for the most part, and I I'm starting to get a lot more confidence in hope that this is who he's going to be because again he has struggled in the last few years, but I mean this team was only giving him about 250 plate appearances or even 300 maybe plate appearances per year and just doing the hell out of him. So it's like you kind of just have to take it what it is. Like you're arresting a guy 2 3 days in a row and then he's not hitting well. Then you're like, oh well, he's just not hitting well because maybe that's who he is. Maybe he's not a good player. But I'm like, maybe you just have to let guys be able to hit. Like we mentioned, Lawler, 19 at bat in 17 games, and then people are calling him a bust. I'm like, well, let him play 3 4 games in a row and see what you actually have instead of sitting him on the bench for a lot of the year, or I guess for a lot of those 3 weeks that he was up here. Jeff here is saying Alec has a lot to play for the remainder of the year. If he doesn't get back to elite level defense or maintain the offense, he is very replaceable, especially on the playoff team. I think that's true. Like if there's any sort of real drop off defensively for Alec to the point where you're like, this is no longer a Gold Glove caliber guy. I know he had a little bit of a drop off this season defensively, but the plays that he's been making the last month or so have just been absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he's getting back to it. Like he seemed like maybe his routes, or maybe he just wasn't seeing the ball as well as he normally did. But again, could just be the fact that he was either in minors or just not getting the playing time. But with his offense so far, if he bats 220 and just not playing as good of a defense as he normally does, and yeah, he, like Jeff was saying, he is very replaceable. This team will go out and find somebody who can play that position better than Alec and can maybe hit marginally better, but it would still be marginally better if they play a better defense than him as well. So
So
Alec has a lot.
Alec is only 100 at bats off his career high, which was in 2022. Like, if he keeps this little pace that he's on, he's gonna set career highs in at bats, in hits, in homers, runs driven in, walks. Like his highest OPS season was in 23 at 647. He's currently at 694. So I would say this is probably his best offensive season of his career. Like for me, I've always said if he can bat 230, 240 and play gold glove caliber defense, that was enough for me. Now, his defense has dropped off a little bit this year, but I would say his offense has increased. Um, yep, and I knew Jeff was going to bring this up. K Rob is looking in Reno. He hit his first home run with Reno today. Also, Tommy Troy is also in Reno. So we'll see. But for me, Alec, like if he can keep what he's on, like if he can finish the year with an OPS over 670, maybe, I think his job is safe. Because his defense has improved, like you said, the last I'd say 4 to 6 weeks. Before that, he wasn't even an average, like he was below average, but he has definitely improved with that the last month.
Yeah, and even when looking at his age, he did turn 25 this year. But you know who else turned 25? Uh, or who was going to turn 25? Tyler Locklear. He's
Yeah.
only about 7 months older than Tyler Locklear. Just to show you how young Alec is. He's still a very young player. So he's 3 years younger than Jake McCarthy. Like I think at this point I know I was saying that getting playing time hurts you, or you're better off when you get playing time. But we've seen Jake get extended periods of playing time this season, even the last seasons, and I think at least in Jake's case, this just kind of might be who he is. With Alec, who did always feel like there was a ceiling that he hadn't been reaching, and again, he is very very young. He still has a few years until he reaches that prime level. So I mentioned it before that I feel like he could be a guy who hits 250 with the 750 OPS, like a very much like a Chris Young type of player with that elite defense. And he's not going to hit a bunch of bombs like Justin Upton or something, but he is going to be a guy who plays like Chris Young. So if Chris Young is your ceiling as a player, I do think you're in really good hands, especially at least when
Yeah.
he played here with the Diamondbacks. I do think he's one of the most underrated players we've ever had. I think people kind of just forget how great he was. But go look at Chris Young's numbers when he was here with the Diamondbacks. He was really, really good player for quite a few years here. So if that's who Alec becomes, then I feel really good going forward. And even as of right now, he's been 257 at 694 OPS, and his last 15 games, again, 340, 380, 532. If those last 15 games are not enough of a sample size for you, well, his last 30 games, 266, 327, 436, and so more or less a 760 something OPS. So he's been doing it for a while. So it just hasn't been, a run of a couple of weeks or something. For the last month, since he's gotten that consistent playing time, he has shown why he belongs on this team and why this team was so hesitant to move on for him. Because, as of right now, he is it hasn't updated yet, but he has point 0.6 WAR for this season. Peyton Smith has point 0.8 WAR with about like 40 more plate appearances than Alec does. So he is knocking on the door of Pavin Smith's WAR for the year. So everyone who says like how great Pavin was, you have to say that in the next couple of weeks of Alec keeps this up, Alec Thomas is a better player than Pavin Smith. If you want to base it off of actual numbers, but someone else that we wanted to talk about today was oops, lost my spot. Blaze Alexander. This was his first real stretch of games where he played at third base. When he came up last year, he played a lot of short, he played a lot of third, he played second. What were your initial thoughts seeing him at third base? Do you feel confident going forward with him at third base, or do you think this team will start to platoon him? Or when the season ends and the free agency starts, do you think the team's going to go out and get a third baseman?
It depends on what he does the next 2 months. He played really well when they first called him up, and then he didn't play well for like 10 games, but he's played really well the last 4 or 5. He made some amazing defensive plays at third base in this series. One thing that we cannot dispute: kid has a cannon at third base. He can make any throw at third base, which is what you want. Um, it was great to see he hit his first home run of the season. He's had about 60 at bats, which not a great pace for third base, but he hasn't really played consistently till about just this last, really the last week, because they traded Gino away. So I was really impressed, really, with his glove in this series. His bat is still stuff to work on. He has some at bats where I'm like, okay, this is a professional hitter, and then there's some where I'm like, 3 pitches, 3 pitch strikeout. So that's the only thing. But I think he's going to get a chance. We'll see what the team does when Lawler is fully healthy. Like, if Blaze is playing really well, like if he continues what he did in this series and he does it for the next couple of series, I think Blaze probably plays most of the games. So, I do want to see Lawler get a chance, but I'm like, if Blaze is playing well, like, you can't sit him. You just can't. Like, especially if the team kind of plays well, like maybe because I think we're 5 games under 500 now. So like if we can, I don't know, get that to 3 games under, or maybe even at 500 with the way Blaze is playing, I think he continues to play. I mean, he's gonna have to have an off day. Can't play every day. Because I think Connor Kaiser can play third base. Is who they brought up here the other day. But I was really impressed by what he did in this series. But I need him to do it consistently. Is all I need to see.
Yeah, I agree. The arm I think is what impressed me the most. Like I knew he had a really good arm. I've seen him make those throws from shortstop, but I also saw him make a lot of errors when he was playing shortstop. It seemed like the game really sped up on him, and Red Sox Nation is bringing it up. Super strong throwing arm, and I think that's one of the main key here, especially as a third baseman. You need to have a cannon for an arm because if you're not a really strong thrower, there's going to be a lot of guys who are going to be reaching first base, and you're going to be committing a lot of errors because you're trying to overcompensate for not being able to throw as hard. But he was throwing hard, he was throwing accurate. So at least in that case, he looked like a normal season veteran at third base. He made some plays as well, like the double play yesterday, or no, today. The double play that he did when he stopped on third and threw it to first. Amazing play from Blaze. That's a real like veteran move, I think, on his part.
Yeah.
And he, like I said, he looked like a professional out there. He looked like he belonged at third base. But again, we need to see the back come around. We've seen him hit very well for this team, and then go on these stretches of 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row where he is just not hitting at all, just being well below replacement level, just being a terrible offensive player. So he's hopefully should be getting all the playtime in the world that he can get, because again, other than Pavin coming back soon, Locklear might be a little bit of trouble having that platoon, but for the most part, Blaze, I don't think has anybody on this team that's threatening right now for his job. With a quick reminder, talking about ages. He's actually a year older than Alec Thomas, just again to show you how young Alec is. But Blaze is a year older. He just needs some more time, I think, in at getting some at bats in total. Because again, when he gets more consistent playing time, he seems to falter a little bit. Hopefully, this season that's not the case, and he can get about 150 more at bats and consistent at bats, and he's able to show off not just the arm but the bat as well. Because again, if he's able to show out a bit, who's to say that this team can't go out and trade for a third baseman? If somebody likes him just enough, they got an expiring contract on a third baseman. So they could go out and maybe they might prefer getting Blaze, and they could get a guy, at third base who maybe has a couple years left to control, who plays just as good as anybody else, or can be a little bit of a slugger. Nolan Arenado, I think, has a couple years left on that contract, and they're willing to ship him off for little bit,
I don't
a
know.
little bit of price. I know this team
His
maybe not.
bat is not that good anymore. That's I'd rather play
I, I,
Blaze and Lawler.
I agree. The only issue is he's also not playing on a very good team offensively. I think if you maybe put a few more guys behind him, maybe in front of him, behind him, I think he's going to have a little bit more of a resurgence. I mean, we saw it from Goldie as well. He kind of struggled a little bit, but now having a little bit more protection in the Yankees lineup, he's still batting 280 at this point in the season. So I think when you put guys behind a better offense, it does help them a lot. Um, but with Blaze, like you said, I just want to see him do this consistently. He didn't. He got a quite a few hits this series as well. Not as much as Alec, but he did get a few hits. He was able to average a few percentage points. So if that keeps going, he was able to get a couple hits here and there. The main thing is the power, just the absolute bomb that he hit. Is that who he might be going forward? Like, is he going to be able to hit a few home runs every month or so? Again, most of these guys are going to come up, like that second baseman that we saw today as well. They're all getting their opportunities. Like, I know we've mentioned before that this isn't a team that's that should be in the business of developing guys on major league roster, but unfortunately, that's just the way things worked out for the season. So everybody, like Blaze, like Tyler, and all these other younger pitchers that they got that are in the major league level right now. I mean, now's their time to show up and show out, because for next season, if let's just say Mike Hazen decides he wants to go all in again, a lot of these guys might not have a job if they go out and get a third baseman, or they go out and get a first baseman as well, or a few more, uh, relief pitchers if they go out into the market. So all these guys have to show why they deserve to be on this major league roster. And if I was a betting man, I think next season Tyler is going to be an opening day first baseman. I personally don't think Blaze is going to be
No.
the opening day first third baseman. I don't know who's going to be that opening day third baseman, but I don't think it's going to be him. Like you mentioned, Jordan Lawler, he's still injured. He's coming back though. I can see Jordan getting some more playtime in September. Do you think that would be the case, or do you think they might just hold off until next season?
It depends on how Blaze is playing. Like for me, that's what it's gonna come down to. But it also could be like the team wants to see Lawler get a true chance, like playing, getting, let's see, like 20 to 25 at bats a week. Because in my opinion, that's how you develop these guys. And I know a majority of the fan base thinks Lawler's a bust. I don't know how you can think that. He's had 50 at bats. There's a few guys that excel in that first 50 at bats, but a majority of prospects do not. They take Geraldo Perdomo for example. The season I always mix it up. 21 or 22, the year where Nick was out almost all year and Perdomo bad. Like Perdomo looked awful that year, but looking back on it, it helped his development so much because he knew what he needed to work on in winter ball. And the improvement that he made that following year, which I believe was 23, because that was when he made the All
Yeah,
Star
so
team.
it was 22 when he got
22.
yeah.
And I was thinking at that time when I watched 22 Geraldo Perdomo, I thought that like he was legit the worst shortstop in Major League Baseball. Now you could probably say he's top five. Like he legit is top five. Red Sox Nation brings up a great point. Mike Trout, he got sent down when he first got because he played awful, and then he came back, and then it's the Mike Trout that we all know and love. So, and I know a lot of the fan base is like, bring back Gino. You guys need to temper your expectations on that because it definitely seems like he is really enjoying being back in Seattle. It could also be being able to play in a playoff race, so you never know. Um, I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock into it that Geno's our starting third baseman on opening day. I don't see it happening personally because if you watched, I think it was Friday or Saturday, Seattle had their walk off win. I I never saw Gino that excited here. Never did.
Yeah,
So, um,
and that's something that I mentioned the last podcast when the fan base, because a lot of people in the fan base, some commentators, whether it's writers or even on the radio, they were talking about, oh, well, they can just basically do a trade and sign, make either Naylor come back or Gino come back or Merrill come back. But I mentioned, like, when has this team ever done that? They let
yeah,
so many guys walk. The only guy that they've ever brought back was Grichuk, and they signed him in February, I believe.
because nobody else
Nobody
did.
else wanted him, at least not for his price, and his team was able to get him super cheap. I believe they got him for like 2 million with some
Yeah,
options and stuff like that. But that's that's it. JD Martinez. I remember when he went to free agency, everyone was like, "Oh, bring him back." Don't know if this team ever even gave him an actual offer. And as we found out with Christian Walker, no offer was made to Christian Walker that was actually a real offer that wasn't just a qualifying
Walker's
offer.
age, in my opinion, was the big factor in that one. JD, I don't think Hazen really knew what he was doing at that because that was his like second season as a GM. Um, I said on the last podcast, I think the only one that has a legit shot of them re-signing is Kelly, just because he loves the state. This team really gave him his shot, and like I think Kelly's the only one, and I think even those chances are probably not that great.
Yeah.
Also because of age.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the problem with Gino is that he's what, 36 or 34? 34?
Uh,
Merrill, I think, is 36. Gino's
yes.
34. So he's the same age that Christian Walker was when he went to free agency. So people want to mention like the age factor. I'm like, what about Gino? He's the same age. Like, yeah, he's aging maybe a little bit better than Christian Walker, but Gino straight up said he's not going to be a DH. He's going to be a third baseman. So if whoever signs him is going to have to put him at third base with his below average defensive abilities. So you don't know if he's going to age even worse in that case. And to make the point about Mike Trout has in his first season he had, or at least not technically his rookie year, but his first season he had 123 at bats, so about uh, you know three more at bats than Jordan Lawler, and that time he batted 220, 281 with 390 with a 671 OPS. Mike Trout, Mr. Hall of Famer in his first 10 years in the big leagues. Mike Trout, he struggled that much. Like, baseball is hard, man. Like, especially when you're that young. Again, Jordan Lawler is still very, very young. He's not like a guy who's in his mid 20s or even as old as Aaron Judge was when he debuted. He's still a very young guy. He does have a lot to work on still, even in the minors. He's had some weird injuries, but I mean, when you play him once a week, then you send him back down to Reno to play every single day. Like, yeah, of course you're going to have a hamstring injury. That was the most obvious one. To bring up another one, Aaron Judge, he had 95 plate appearances, so double what Lawler had. He was not good. 84 I bet just because of the walks. So 84, he batted 179, a 263 on base, a 345 slugs for 608 OPS. That's Aaron Judge, Mister also Hall of Fame, better than Mickey Mantle, Aaron Judge. So
It's called
again, he's been
revisionist history. Most of the people that are talking this probably don't even remember watching those guys.
yeah, and I think that's kind of the main problem. Just a lot of people have like this revisionist history and also like this expectation that as soon as guys come into the big leagues, they're going to be as great as everyone else. Like we talked about Corbin Carroll. Corbin was the exception, not the rule. A lot of guys don't look the way
Yes.
Corbin does in the big leagues right away. Like some of these guys take a little bit longer just because, they're not as polished. Like Corbin just ran through the minor league system so incredibly quickly. He probably could have been up a lot sooner, but they were kind of just like, yeah, he's been in double A for like half a season and he's in triple A for 3 weeks. Like we have to at least try to give him a little bit more time to be a polished player. And then he came up after maybe a couple months in Reno, and he kind of has been the same Corbin. But I think maybe that's why we saw him struggle so much last year, because
Yep.
normally a guy like him would still be in AAA at that age that he was last season, or just have that as his first actual polished year in the big league. So it's just one of those things where we just have to be patient with certain guys. And I still do think Jordan Lawler is a 5 tool player, and he's going to be a lot better as time goes on. Um, Very quickly, though, Scott here is saying Gurriel is still as good as a hypothetical replacement player from the minors. He has zero WAR. And I do think that's going to be a really big topic coming into the offseason, because
And you know
he
what
has
sucks?
he has a
He has a
player option.
player, which means there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, so if this team wanted to, not re-sign him, they kind of have no option. Their hands are tied for him. He has a 690 OPS this season. Don't know what the problem is. He's just taking a lot of bad swings. I mean, we haven't seen those stretches where he's just clobbering the ball. They can't get him out that we've seen him throughout his time here with the Diamondbacks. I mean, this is his lowest amount of home runs as well. Last season he had 18, which it's not the best, but still pretty decent. The year before that, 24. So he's been gradually going down. If we look at his batting average, it was 261 and 23. Last season was 279. This year's 244. His OPS, I mean, he's always been like a 700 guy, but 772, 757. This year's 690. We're at the point where Alec Thomas has a higher OPS than Gurriel, making a third of the
Fraction.
same amount of money,
Yeah,
maybe a
way
fraction of
less.
that same money. So that's going to be a really, really big topic coming into the offseason. If Gurriel decides to get that player option and he stays on this team, what do you do? Do you go out and maybe look
Trade him.
for either trade
You're gonna have
him?
to try
Do you
and
look for somebody in the minor league system that they can bring up? I didn't see who it was. Was they're bringing up Christian Robinson? Christian
that
Robinson
was
is starting
Jeff.
to Jeff. He's starting to hit the ball a lot better again. Christian Robinson was out of Major League Baseball for about 4 years, and he's starting to come back around. We do have some guys in the minors who are playing very well. I mean, even Waldschmidt, he got sent to, I believe, Double A, right?
Yeah.
Um, Very, very quickly. So some of these guys are advancing really, really quickly in this minor league
Christian
system.
Robinson is younger than Alec, by the way. That's
Yeah.
insane.
I
He
believe he was born
missed that much.
2001, right?
No, 2000 December of 2000
Oh,
from
okay.
the Bahamas. Like I'm just like he's 24. He's still young and dude, his minor league numbers this year are insane. He's 25 stolen bases. Has a 780 OPS and 308 at bats. Like I really think he could be up in September. I really, really do. If he continues to hit the way he's been hitting, and this team is kind of where we are now, like 5 games below 500, why not? Why not give him a shot? Um, Gurriel's going to be our cleanup hitter. There's nobody else to put there right now. There is nobody because they are not moving Marte to the cleanup. They need Carolyn Marte in the 1 and 2. So, um, so Red Sox Nation asks, does Lourdes have a buyout after next season? Not after. So it's yeah, it's gonna be tough for them to be able to do anything with Lourdes unless they can find someone that really is really high on him and they can get something like if they can get a high leverage arm out of it, which is probably asking a lot. It's probably very unrealistic, but like they got to be able to get something. They probably tried to trade him at the deadline, but it was like he's a sub 700 OPS. We're giving you a high A guy. That's it. And Hayden was probably like, well, I don't have a cleanup hitter, so that's not going to be enough.
Yeah. Not only not don't have a cleanup hitter, but they don't have enough guys even because Brandon Richard was an outfielder. As of right now, their only backup is Jake. So if they would have traded Gurriel, then they probably would have to, give Barrosa and Jake a lot more playing time, and you really don't want to see that.
Oh yeah,
You
I
kind of just have
completely
to ride it
forgot
out.
about that. Jorge Barosa, no, nope, I can't. I can't watch him hit anymore. Like I just can't. Like he is not a major league hitter. I'm fine for him for a couple games, but like he should not be starting more than once a week, and that's being very very nice. I don't think he should start even that much. Like he's just he's not a major league level hitter. He's just not.
Yeah, but that was it, I guess, for this series. It was really, at least exciting to watch in these last couple of games, which is more than we've been able to say these last couple of weeks because the way that they looked, we call them the lay down Diamondbacks or all sorts of different names. The other day, I called them the DOA Diamondbacks, like because they were dead on arrival. Because oh my god, this team was just
I think you posted that on Friday, probably right.
that one was on Friday. But moving on to this next series, I don't know how to feel about it yet. If the D-backs are playing how they did in this game, I do feel like they're going to be fun. If they're playing the way they had these other games, and it is going to be, it's just straight up embarrassing. But they're playing against the San Diego Padres here at home. This is going to be the first series at home since the deadline, so I'm going to be very curious to see how the attendance looks because they're averaging 30,000 a game so far this season, which is up from 27,000 from last season. With these trades and how bad they're playing, I think they're going to fall all the way back down to 27,000 when all is said and done. But they're, for tomorrow, it's going to be Brandon Pfaadt and Sears. Pretty similar numbers. Sears has a 4.95 ERA, Brandon Pfaadt with a 5.11 ERA. So I think is a pretty even matchup in this case. Then Darvish versus Ryan Nelson. Darvish actually hasn't been too good this season, but he has coming back from injuries, so it's going to take him a few more games, I think, to get to the Darvish that we know. He has a 6.46 ERA, and Ryan Nelson has a 3.20 ERA. And I'm personally very excited to see Ryan Nelson because I'm going to the game on Tuesday, and I'm hoping to see him, throw 7 shutout innings the way we know he can. And then it is TBD and against Anthony DeSclafani on Wednesday. I feel like you can put DeSclafani on the TBA list as well because with how terrible he was, I don't know. Do you think they might? Well, before we get to that, but I guess I have 2 questions for you. One, what are your thoughts on the series coming up? What are you looking out for? How do you think they're going to fare? And do you think this Clefane is going to get that spot on Wednesday, or do you think they might call somebody up to take a spot?
So I always hate when we have to play the Padres because I have such a mixed feeling because I grew up in San Diego. My first baseball team that I followed was the San Diego Padres, and I still follow them to this day. So I always have mixed feelings about it. I think they have a shot to win Monday and Tuesday. Um, Darvish, yeah, his ERA hasn't looked good, but he pitched really, really well in his last start. He went like 7 innings. He didn't like he threw only like 85 pitches, so he looked really good. Fought was looking good, and then it was either the 4th or the 5th inning against the Tigers where they jumped all over him, and it was just so disappointing to watch. And MLB.com does say TBD for San Diego on Wednesday, but if you're going based on their prior rotation, It's probably Nick Pivetta against Anthony Scalafani. That's San Diego. Like Nick Pivetta has been lights out for them. So um, I think Anthony does Scalafani does make the start on Wednesday though, um, unless they want to bring up Cole Drake, who has had one start in Reno. He looked pretty good, but I don't see them bringing him up right away. Yeah, I bet Red Sox Nation does love Nick Pivetta, former Boston Red Sox. Um, but for me, it's like, is offense going to show up? They did show up in games 2 and 3 against the Athletics. So I'm hoping, and we kind of talked about it, like once the trade deadline was over, was offense going to show up? They didn't show up on Friday, but they did show up on Saturday and Sunday. So I'm hoping that they can kind of go on a run here. And it's amazing when you hit well with runners in scoring position, you score runs. Like they went 5 for 10 today. So maybe I'm like, I just hope that they kind of not completely get rid of, but like don't focus so much on everybody trying to hit a homer. Let's get singles, let's get walks, and then get that double. Like we've talked about it like the last 2 years. Like this team's reliance on the home run is when we see them go on these runs where they don't do anything offensively because they're all swinging out of their shoes. So, but yeah, like you said, Nelson's gonna be very excited to watch. I'm going tomorrow and Wednesday, so thought I don't know. I think for the most part, his last 4 starts, he's done pretty good. He just has one inning where he just spirals out of control. Like it's just, I think he just against the Tigers, I think he spammed his cutter and the Tigers picked up on it, and then just hard hit after hard hit. So, I mean, at this point, like series wins, series lost, like does it matter? I mean, I know technically they're not eliminated mathematically, but they're like what? I think I saw 9 games out of that final wild card. That is very, very tough. You got to launch what? Miami to like launch like 3 or 4 teams to get there. Like, I know like it's possible because teams have done it. I just I wouldn't hold your breath on it.
Yeah, I for the most part, I'm curious to see how certain guys fare, like Blaze or Locklear, see how they do against. I know this isn't the best pitchers that the Padres have, but they do have either one of, if not the best bullpen in the league, especially after the trade deadline. So I'm very curious to see how these guys are going to fare against this Padres bullpen. I think it's going to be a real test for them, seeing really, really good pitchers, seeing what they're made of. Again, for me, I just want to see him be productive. Like, don't be embarrassing to watch. Don't be exhausting to watch because, man, like I said, these last 10 games have been an absolute nightmare to watch. It's just not fun at all. I mean, we're all going to be watching the D-backs, but I mean, I know there's a lot of people saying they're going to be completely tuned out or not watch them anymore. And I do see people saying that, oh, well, they're not real fans or they're fake fans. But man, when the team is not fun to watch, like, why would somebody spend 3 hours of their day watching this team play that way? Like, this team actually was really fun to watch in 22, even though they lost quite a few games and they won about 75. But at least that team was fun to watch. You can feel good about watching Corbin at the end of the year and everything like that. So, and this season, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping to at least get a few guys that you're like, man, this guy, he's the reason why I tune in every single day. But I just want to thank everybody for coming here today. Disruptive, Shrimpy, Bubba, Charles, Jeff, Red Sox Nation, Sean, Corbin Barrels, Justin, Brett, Josh. I saw Josh in here for a little bit. Um, let's see,
Brett,
Charles, Brett, Jeff, again, Scott. There you go, Scott. And don't want to thank everybody for coming in here, for being active in the chat. Be sure to like and subscribe, ring the notification bell if you haven't. and then we'll see you guys all next time. To hopefully we have some more stuff to talk about after this San Diego series. Bye.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Desert heat, but we own this town. Brennan gave on the call with Josh in the back.